Eat That Frog: 22 Ways to Avoid Procrastination and Excel in School and Life. Last Part 4, Chapter 16. Motivate Yourself into Action. It is in the compelling gist of high adventure and of victory and of creative action that man finds his supreme joys. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. To perform at your best, you must become your own personal cheerleader. You must develop a routine of coaching yourself and encouraging yourself to play at the top of your game. Most of your emotions, positive or negative, are determined by how you talk to yourself on a minute-to-minute basis. It is not what happens to you, but the way that you interpret the things that are happening to you that determines how you feel. It is your version of events that largely determines whether they motivate or demotivate you, whether they energize or de-energize you. To keep yourself motivated, you must resolve to become a complete optimist. You must determine to respond positively to the words, actions, and reactions of the people and situations around you. You must refuse to let the unavoidable difficulties and setbacks of daily life affect your mood and emotions. Control your inner dialogue. Your level of self-esteem, how much you like and respect yourself, is central to your levels of motivation and persistence. You should talk to yourself positively all the time to boost your self-esteem. Say things like, I like myself, over and over until you begin to believe it, and behave like a person with a high-performance personality. To keep yourself motivated and to overcome feelings of doubt and fear, continually tell yourself, I can do it. When people ask you how you are, always tell them, I feel terrific. No matter how you really feel at the moment and what is happening in your life, resolve to remain cheerful and upbeat. As Viktor Frankl wrote in his best-selling book Logotherapy, the last great freedom of mankind is the freedom to choose your attitude under any set of external conditions. Refuse to complain about your problems. Keep them to yourself. As a speaker, humorist Ed Foreman says, you should never share your problems with others because 80% of the people don't care about them anyway, and the other 20% are kind of glad that you have got them in the first place. Develop a positive mental attitude. In Martin Seligman's 22-year study at the University of Pennsylvania, summarized in his book Learned Optimism, he determined that optimism is the most important quality that you can develop for personal and professional success and happiness. Optimist people seem to be more effective in almost every area of life. It turns out that optimists have 3 special behaviors, all learned through practice and repetition. First, optimists look for the good in every situation. No matter what goes wrong, they always look for something good or beneficial, and not surprisingly, they always seem to find it. Second, optimists always seek the valuable lesson in every setback or difficulty. They believe that difficulties come not to obstruct but to instruct. They believe that each setback or obstacle contains a valuable lesson they can learn and grow from, and they are determined to find it. Third, optimists always look for the solution to every problem. Instead of blaming or complaining when things go wrong, they become action-oriented. They ask questions like, what's the solution? What can we do now? What's the next step? Third, optimists think and talk continually about their goals. They think about what they want and how to get it most of the time. They think and talk about the future and where are they going rather than the past or where they come from. They are always looking forward rather than backward. When you continually visualize your goals and ideals and talk to yourself in a positive way, you feel more focused and energized. You feel more confident and creative. You experience a great sense of control and powerful person. And the more positive and motivated you feel, the more eager you are to get started and the more determined you are to keep going. Eat that frog. Control your thoughts. Remember, you become what you think about most of the time. Be sure that you are thinking and talking about the things you want rather than the things you don't want. Keep your mind positive by accepting complete responsibility for yourself and for everything that happens to you. Refuse to criticize, complain or blame others for anything. Resolve to make progress rather than excuses. Keep your thoughts or your energy focused forward on the things you can do right now to improve your life, and let the rest go. Chapter 17. Get out of the technical time sinks. There is more to life than just increasing its speed. Technology can be your best friend or your worst enemy. As we race into the 21st century, bombarded by information from all sides, many people seem to have an irresistible, if not obsessive, need to communicate continually and non-stop with people everywhere in their personal and business lives. This incessant non-stop compulsion to communicate, entailing the continuous use of cell phones, Blackberries, personal digital assistants, internet, both wireless and connected, and various contact management systems like Microsoft Outlook, Maximizer, and others tend to leave a person psychologically breathless. He or she has no time to stop, smell the roses, and collect his thoughts. You have a choice. At the same time, there are many high-powered, hard-working, highly productive people functioning in the dead center of communication technology who are not overwhelmed by technology. They seem to have their lives largely under control. Bill Gross, manager of more than $600 billion in fixed income funds and bonds, is famous for exercising regularly and meditating daily to keep centered while using no technology at all. He turns off his cell phone, cuts off his live phone, leaves his BlackBerry in his office, and goes about his daily business without the continuous interruptions of people who have an overwhelming need to stay connected. And he says that he never misses an important message. For you to stay calm, clear-headed, and capable of performing at your best, you need to detach on a regular basis from the technology and communication devices that can overwhelm you if you are not careful. Don't become addicted. In Washington not long ago, I was at a business luncheon with a room full of high-level executives. Prior to the beginning the luncheon, one of the organizers stood up and gave a short grace. Ha! Everyone bowed their head. When the grace was over, the luncheon began. However, at my table, 4 or 5 out of the 8 people seemed to have been greatly affected by the prayer that had preceded the luncheon. They still had their heads down with their hands in their lap, even when they served the food. Each of them seemed to be lost in deep thought over the profound questions of the day. Then I realized that they were not praying at all. Each of them was intensely focused on their Blackberries, sending and receiving email, working their little keyboards like frantic teenagers playing a video game. They were all lost to the world around them as they messaged back and forth, some of them with other people in the same room. They had fallen into a technological trap, a deep sink full of information exchange in which they were drowning. Technology is your friend. The purpose of modern technology is largely to increase the speed, efficiency, and accuracy of the transfer of information of all kinds. Technology is meant to help us to improve the quality of our life by enabling us to accomplish our key tasks and communicate with the key people in our world faster and more efficiently than ever before. But the use of communications technology can quickly become a form of addiction. People get up in the morning and immediately check to see if there were any phone calls or voice mail messages on their cell phones. Then they race to their computers to pull up their emails to see if anyone communicated them overnight. They call the office to find out if anyone has done or said anything that they should know about it in the last few hours. They check their Microsoft Outlook, their personal digital assistants, their Blackberries, and whatever the other form of communications technology they are using in every 5 or 6 minutes to make sure that they are not missing anything. This has to stop before it gets out of control. Take back your time. One of my clients with distributors in 19 states found himself bound and chained to his computer, receiving and responding to emails several hours each day. The more time he spent at his computer, the fewer of his other important tasks he was able to get done. The stress of these tasks, building up like an avalanche overhang, started to affect his personality, his health, and his sleeping habits. Using the principle taught in Eat That Frog, we taught him about the 80 to 20 rule and how it applies to emails. Fully 80% of the emails that you receive are of no value and should not even be opened. They should be deleted immediately. Of the remaining 20%, only 20% of those, or 4% of your emails, actually remain an immediate response of some kind. The other 16 can be ignored temporarily or transferred to an action folder where they can be dealt with one at a time. Standardize and delegate. My client felt that there was no one who had the ability to sort out his emails more than 300 per day, and that he had to do it all himself, no matter how much time it took. We encouraged him to sit down with his secretary and go through his emails, showing her which ones were important and which ones were unimportant, and how to deal with the most common questions and requests. To his surprise, within 2 hours, his secretary knew enough to handle most of his emails for him. From then on, she would come in each morning and delete the 80% of emails that were of no value. She would transfer the essential emails requesting personal action by her boss into a separate folder. If there were a question on an email, she would transfer it to a process folder for him to look at his convenience. At our next meeting, he told me that he had tracked the time savings of this simple exercise and calculated that he was now saving 23 hours per week of work that he could then spending eating his frogs and getting his most important tasks completed. This simple exercise transformed his life, reduced his stress levels, improved his health and energy, and made him a much more relaxed and positive person. Here is the question for you. How would your life change if you had an extra 23 hours each week with which you to think, plan, or talk with co-workers, or even go for a walk with your spouse? Refuse to be a slave. A journalist for Fortune magazine wrote recently that when he arrived back at the office after a 2-week vacation, there were more than 700 emails waiting for him. He realized that it would take him a week to get through them all, during which time he wouldn't be able to tackle any of the projects waiting on his desk. For the first time in his email career, he took a deep breath and punched the delete all button, erasing those 700 emails forever. He then turned and got busy with the projects that were really important to him and his company. His explanation was simple. He said, "I realized that just because somebody sends me an email, it doesn't mean that they own a piece of my life in terms of my having to reply to them now or ever." In addition, it occurred to me that if the mail was really important, the sender would send it again. And that's exactly what happened. A servant, not a master. For you to be able to concentrate on those few things that make most of the difference in your business or personal life, you must discipline yourself to use technology as a servant, not a master. Technology is there to help you, not to hinder you. The purpose of technology is to make your life smoother and easier, not to create complexity, confusion, or stress. One of the best rules in dealing with time, people, and technology is to just leave things off. Resist the urge to start turning on communication devices as soon as you wake up in the morning. Leave the radio off. Leave the television off. Leave your cell phone off. Leave your computer off until you have planned and organized your day. Deliberately create zones of silence in your life where no one and nothing can break through and reach you. Maintain your inner calm by forcing yourself to stop on a regular basis and listen to the silence. Sometimes to get more done of higher value, you have to stop doing things of lower value. Keep asking yourself, what's important here? What is important for you to accomplish at work? What is important in your personal life? All the things that you could do, if you could only do one or two of them, which one would they be? Continuous contact is not essential. Remembering, when you go away for a day, a week, or a month on vacation or on business, if you are out of touch with your communication devices, nothing happens. The world seems to continue revolving whether or not you are in continuous contact with it. Problems get solved, answers get found, the works get done, and life continues to flow along like old man river. There are very few things that are so important that they cannot wait. People often ask me at my seminars, but don't you have to keep current with the news by reading newspapers, listening to radio, and watching television? I tell them, if it is really important, someone will tell you. If something important happens in your life, the country, or the world, someone else can spend hours following the news for you, and they will usually tell you on the first possible occasion. Many people discontinue newspapers, stop watching broadcast news on the television, and refuse to listen to the radio. And surprisingly enough, they remain well informed on most important subjects. Someone always keeps them up to date. You should do the same. Resolve today to create zones of silence during your day-to-day activities. Turn off all communication devices and technology for 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the afternoon. You will be amazed at what happens. Nothing. Resolve to take one full day off each week during which you do not touch your computer, check your BlackBerry, and make any attempt to keep in touch with the world of technology. At the end of a day, without continuous contact except by voice, your mind will go calm and clear like water. By giving your mental batteries time to recharge, free from the incessant interruption of communication, you will be more relaxed, aware, and alert. Chapter 18. Slice and dice the task. The beginning of a habit is like an invisible thread, but every time we repeat the act, we strengthen the strand, adding to it another filament until it becomes a great cable and binds us irrevocably in thought and act. Orison Swett Martin. A major reason for procrastination on big important tasks is that they appear so large and formidable when you first approach them. One technique that you can use to cut a big task down to size is the salami slice method of getting work done. With this method, you lay out the task in detail and then resolve to do just one slice of the job for the time being, like eating a roll of salami one slice at a time, or like eating an elephant one bite at a time. Psychologically, you will find it easier to do a single small piece of a large project than to start on the whole job. Often, once you have started and completed a single part of the job, you will feel like doing just one more slice. Soon you will find yourself working through the job one part at a time, and before you know it, the job will be completed. Develop a compulsion to closure. An important point to remember is that you have deep within you an urge to completion, or what is often referred to as a compulsion to closure. This means that you actually feel happier and more powerful when you start and complete a task of any kind. You satisfy a deep subconscious need to bring a finality to a job or project. This sense of completion or closure motivates you to start into the next task or project, and then to persist toward final completion. This act of completion triggers that release of endorphins in your brain that we talked about earlier. And the bigger the task you start and complete, the better and more elated you feel. The bigger the frog you eat, the greater the surge of personal power and energy you will experience. When you start or finish a small piece of task, you feel motivated to start and finish another part, and then another, and so on. Each small step forward energizes you. Your son develops an inner drive that motivates you to carry out to completion. This completion gives you the great feeling of happiness and satisfaction accompanies any success. Swiss cheese your tasks. Another technique you can use to get yourself going is called Swiss cheese making method of working. You use this technique to get yourself into gear by resolving to punch a hole into the task like a hole in the block of Swiss cheese. You Swiss cheese a task when you resolve to work for a specific period on a task. This may be as little as 5 or 10 minutes, after which you will stop and do something else. You will just take one bite of your frog and then rest or do something else. The power of this method is similar to the salami slice method. Once you start working, you develop a sense of forward momentum and a feel of accomplishment. You become energized and enthusiastic. You feel yourself internally motivated, propelled to keep going until the task is complete. You should try the salami slice or the Swiss cheese method on any task that seems overwhelming when you approach it for the first time. You will be amazed at how helpful these techniques are in overcoming procrastination. I have several friends who have become best-selling authors by simply resolving to write one page or even one paragraph per day until the book was complete. And you can do the same. Eat that frog. Put one of these techniques into action immediately. Take a large, complex, multitask job that you have been putting off and either salami slice or Swiss cheese it to get started. Become action oriented. A common quality of high performance men and women is that when they hear a good idea, they take action on it immediately. As a result, they learn more, faster, and get much better results. Don't delay. Try it today. Chapter 19. Create large chunks of time. Nothing can add more power to your life than concentrating all of your energy on a limited set of targets. Nido Cobain. This strategy requires a commitment from you to work at scheduled times on large tasks. Most of the really important work you do requires large chunks of unbroken time to complete. Your ability to create and carve out these blocks of high value, high productive time is central to your ability to make a significant contribution to your work and your life. Successful salespeople set aside a specific time period each day to phone prospects. Rather than procrastinating or delaying on a task that they don't particularly like, they resolve that they will phone for one solid hour between 10-11 am. They then discipline themselves to follow through on their resolutions. Many business executives set aside a specific time each day to call customers directly to get feedback or to return phone calls or answer correspondence. Some people allocate specific 30 to 60 minute time period each day for exercise. Many people read in the great books 15 minutes each night before retiring. In this way, over time, they eventually read dozens of the books ever written. Schedule blocks of time. The key to the success of this method of working in specific time segments is for you to plan your day in advance and specifically schedule a fixed time period for a particular activity or task. You make work appointments with yourself and then discipline yourself to keep them. You set aside 30, 40 and 90 minute time segments that you use to work on and complete important tasks. Many highly productive people schedule specific activities and pre-planned time slots all day long. These people build their work lives around accomplishing each task one at a time. As a result, they become more and more productive and eventually produce 2 times, 3 times, 5 times as much as the average person. Use a time planner. A time planner broken down by date, hour and minute, organized in advance, can be done one of the most powerful personal productivity tools of all. It enables you to see where you can consolidate, create blocks of time for concentrated work. During this working time, you turn off the telephone, eliminate all distractions, and work non-stop. One of the best work habits of all is for you to get up early and work at home in the morning for several hours. You can get 3 times as much work done at home without interruptions as you ever could in busy office when you are surrounded by people and bombarded by phone calls. Make every minute count. When you fly on business, you can create your office in the air by planning your work thoroughly before you depart. When the plane takes off, you can work non-stop for the entire flight. You will be amazed at how much work you can go through when you work steadily in an aeroplane without interruptions. One of the keys to high level of performance and productivity is for you to make every minute count. Use travel and transition time, what is often called gifts of time, to complete small chunks of larger tasks. Remember, the pyramids were built one block at a time. A great life and a great career is built one task and often one part of a task at a time. Your job in time management is to deliberately and creatively organize the concentrated time periods you need to get your key jobs well done and on schedule. Eat that frog. Think continually of different ways that you can save, schedule and consolidate large chunks of time. Use this time to work on important tasks with the most significant long-term consequences. Make every minute count. Work steadily and continuously without diversion or distraction by planning and preparing your work in advance. Most of all, keep focused on the most important results for which you are responsible. Chapter 20. Develop a sense of urgency. Do not wait. The time will never be just right. Start where you stand and work with whatever tools you may have at your command, and better tools will be found as you go along. Napoleon Hill. Perhaps the most outwardly identifiable quality of a high-performing man or woman is action orientation. They are in a hurry to get their key tasks completed. Highly productive people take the time to think, plan, and set priorities. They then launch quickly and strongly towards their goal and objectives. They work steadily, smoothly, and continuously. As a result, they seem to power through enormous amounts of work in the same time that the average person spends socializing, wasting time, and working on low value activities. Working in the zone. When you work on your most important tasks at a time, at a high and continuous level of activity, you can actually enter into an amazing mental state called flow. Almost everyone has experienced this at some time. Really successful people are those who get themselves into this state far more often than the average. In the state of flow, which is the highest human state of performance and productivity, something almost miraculous happens to your mind and emotions. You feel elated and clear. Everything you do seems effortless and accurate. You feel happy and energized. You experience a tremendous sense of calm and increased personal effectiveness. In the state of flow, identified and talked about over the centuries, you actually function on a higher plane of clarity, creativity, and competence. You are more sensitive and aware. Your insight and intuition functions with credible precision. You see the interconnectedness of people and circumstances around you. You come off with brilliant ideas and insights that enable you to move ahead with more rapidly. Trigger yourself into high performance. One of the ways you can trigger this state of flow is by developing a sense of urgency. This is an inner drive and desire to get on with the job quickly and get it done fast. This inner drive is an impatience that motivates you to get going and to keep going. A sense of urgency feels very much like racing against yourself. With this ingrained sense of urgency, you develop a bias for action. You take action rather than talking continually about what you are going to do. You focus on specific steps you take immediately. You concentrate on the things you can do right now to get the results you want and achieve the goals you desire. Fast tempo seems to go hand in hand with all great success. Developing this tempo requires that you start moving and keep moving at a steady rate. The faster you move, the more impelled you feel to do even more, even faster. You enter the zone. Build up a sense of momentum. When you regularly take continuous action towards your most important goals, you activate the momentum principle of success. This principle says that although it may take tremendous amount of energy to overcome inertia and get started initially, it then takes far less energy to keep going. The good news is that the faster you move, the more energy you have. The faster you move, the more you get done and the most effective you feel. The faster you move, the more experience you get and the more you learn. The faster you move, the more competent and capable you become at your work. A sense of urgency shifts you automatically onto a fast track in your career. The faster you work and the more you get done, the higher you will be your levels of self-esteem, self-respect, and personal pride. You feel in complete control of your life and your work. Do it now. One of the simplest and yet more powerful ways to get yourself started is to repeat the word do it now, do it now, do it now over and over to yourself. If you feel yourself slowing down or becoming distracted by conversations or low value activities, repeat to yourself the word back to work, back to work, back to work over and over. In the final analysis, nothing will help you more in your career than for you to get the reputation for being the kind of person who gets the important work done quickly and well. This reputation will make you one of the most valuable and respected people in your field. Eat that frog. Resolve today to develop a sense of urgency in everything you do. Select one area where you have a tendency to procrastinate and make a decision to develop the habit of fast action in that area. When you see an opportunity or a problem, take action on it immediately. When you are given a task or responsibility, do it quickly and report back fast. Move rapidly in every important area of your life. You will be amazed at how better you feel and how much more you get done. Chapter 21. Single task, handle every task. And herein lies the secret of true power. Learn by constant practice how to husband your resources and concentrate them at any given moment upon a given point. James Allen. Eat that frog. Every bit of planning, prioritizing, and organizing comes down to this simple concept: your ability to select your most important task, to begin it, and then to concentrate it single-mindedly until it is complete is the key to high levels of performance and personal productivity. Every great achievement of mankind has been preceded by a long period of hard, concentrated work until the job was done. Once you get going, keep going. Single handling requires that once you begin, you keep working at the task without diversion or distraction until the job is 100% complete. You keep urging yourself onward by repeating the words back to work over and over whenever you are tempted to stop or do something else. By concentrating single-mindedly on your most important task, you can reduce the time required to complete it by 50% or more. It has been estimated that the tendency to start and stop a task, to pick it up, put it down, and come back to it can increase the time necessary to complete the task by as much as 500%. Each time you return to the task, you have to familiarize yourself with where you were when you stopped and what you still have to do. You have to overcome inertia and get yourself going again. You have to develop momentum and get into a productive work rhythm. But when you prepare thoroughly and then begin refusing to stop or turn aside until the job is complete, you develop energy, enthusiasm, and motivation. You get better and more productive. You work faster and more effectively. Don't waste time. The truth is that once you have decided on your number one task, anything else that you do other than that is the relative waste of time. Any other activity is just not as valuable or as important as this job based on your own priorities. The more you discipline yourself to working non-stop on a single task, the more you move down the efficiency curve. You get more and more high quality work done in less and less time. Each time you stop working, however, you break this cycle and move back up the work curve to where every part of the task is more difficult and time consuming. Self-discipline is the key. Albert Hubbard defined self-discipline as the ability to make yourself to do what you should do, when you should do it, and whether you feel like it or not. In the final analysis, success in any area requires tons of discipline. Self-discipline, self-mastery, and self-control are the basic building blocks of character and high performance. Starting a high priority task and persisting with that task until it is 100% complete is a true test of your character, your willpower, and your resolve. Persistence is actually self-discipline in action. The good action is that the more you discipline yourself to persist on a major task, the more you like and respect yourself, and the higher is your self-esteem. And the more you like and respect yourself, the easier it is for you to discipline yourself to persist even more. By focusing clearly on your most valuable task and concentrating single-mindedly until it's 100% complete, you actually shape and mold your own character. You became a superior person. You feel stronger, more competent, confident, and happier. You feel more powerful and productive. You eventually feel capable of setting and achieving any goal. You become the master of your own destiny. You place yourself on an ascending spiral of personal effectiveness on which your future is absolutely guaranteed. And the key to all of this is for you to determine the most valuable and most important thing you could possibly do at every single moment, and that eat that frog. Take action. Resolve today to select the most important task or project that you could complete and then launch it into immediately. Once you start your most important task, discipline yourself to persevere without diversion and distraction until it is 100% complete. See it as a test to determine whether you are the kind of person who can make a decision to complete something and then carry it out. Once you begin, refuse to stop until the job is finished. Conclusion. Putting it all together. The key to happiness, satisfaction, great success, and a wonderful feeling of personal power and effectiveness is for you to develop the habit of eating your frog first thing every day when you start work. Fortunately, this is a learnable skill that you can acquire through repetition. And when you develop the habit of starting your own most important task before anything else, your success is assured. Here is a summary of 21 great ways to stop procrastinating and get most things done faster. Review these rules and principles regularly until they become firmly ingrained in your thinking and actions, and your future will be guaranteed. Set the table. Decide exactly what you want. Clarity is essential. Write out your goals and objectives before you begin. Plan every day in advance. Think on paper. Every minute you spend in planning and can save you 5 or 10 minutes in execution. Apply the 80-20 rule to everything. 20% of your activities will account for 80% of your results. Always concentrate your efforts on that top 20%. Consider the consequences. Your most important tasks and priorities are those that can have the most serious consequences, positive or negative, on your life or work. Focus on these above all else. Practice creative procrastination. Since you can't do everything, you must learn to deliberately put off those tasks that are of low value so that you can have enough time to do few things that really count. Use the ABCDE method continually. Before you begin work on a list of tasks, take a few moments to organize them by value and priority so you can be sure of working on your most important activities. Focus on key result areas. Identify and determine those results that you absolutely positively have to done to your job well and work on them all day long. The law of three. Identify the three things you do in your work that count for 90% of your contribution and focus on getting them done before anything else. You will then have more time for your family and personal life. Prepare thoroughly before you begin. Have everything you need at hand before you start. Assemble all papers, information, tools, work material and numbers so that you can get started and keep going. Take it one oil barrel at a time. You can accomplish the biggest and most complicated job if you just complete it one step at a time. Upgrade your key skills. The more knowledgeable and skilled you become at your key task, the faster you start them and the sooner you get them done. Leverage your special talents. Determine exactly what it is that you are very good at doing or could be very good at and throw your whole heart into doing these specific things very well. Identify your key constraints. Determine the bottlenecks or choke points internally or externally that set the speed at which you achieve your most important goals and focus on alleviating them. Put the pressure on yourself. Imagine that you have to leave town for a month and work as if you had to get all your major tasks completed before you left. Maximize your personal powers. Identify your periods of highest mental and physical energy each day and structure your most important and demanding tasks around these times. Get lots of rest so that you can perform at your best. Motivate yourself into action. Be your own cheerleader. Look for the good in every situation. Focus on the solution rather than the problem. Always be optimistic and constructive. Get out of the technological time sinks. Use technology to improve the quality of your communication, but do not allow yourself to become a slave to. Learn to occasionally turn things off and leave them off. Slice and dice the task. Break large complex tasks down into bite and sized pieces and then just do one small part of the task to get started. Create large chunks of time. Organize your days around large blocks of time where you can concentrate for extended periods on your most important tasks. Develop a sense of urgency. Make a habit of moving fast on your key tasks. Become known as a person who does things quickly and well. Handle every task. Set clear priorities. Start immediately on your most important task and then work without stopping until the job is 100% complete. This is the real key to high performance and maximum personal productivity. Make a decision to practice these principles every day until they become second nature to you. With these habits of personal management as a permanent part of your personality, your future success will be unlimited. Just do it. Eat that frog. Complete.